Eternity, the embodiment of the universe, chose Storm to be its host, granting her new cosmic-level powers. Now, Storm and her former X-Men teammate Maggot find themselves in the path of an imminent thunder war against a lineup of other Storm gods. To prepare for battle, Maggot invited the strongest fighters in the universe to Storm's sanctuary to brawl in a savage, no-holds-barred tournament. Meanwhile, Aurora has been summoned, interrogated, and detained by the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the alleged crimes she committed during the X-Man hunt for the escaped Charles Xavier. The chapter opens with Storm behind bars. She was imprisoned by the FBI for aiding the escape of Charles Xavier, a convicted fugitive. Like any prisoner, she had the right to one phone call. After a brief wait, she requested her call. She dialed the office of superhero attorney Jennifer Walters, also known as the sensational She-Hulk. Unfortunately, the lawyer wasn't in her office, which made Storm assume Jennifer must be busy with important legal matters. But the truth was entirely different. Without Storm's consent, Maggot had organized a bizarre spectacle of superpowered gladiators inside Storm's own sanctuary. Among the duels, She-Hulk stood out, facing off against the powerful strong guy, who actually managed to draw blood and bring her to her knees. But once Jennifer truly lost her temper, there was no contest. She defeated Strong Guy with a single punch in a thoroughly unsurprising fashion. In other matchups, Juggernaut defeated Abomination. Big Bertha overpowered Armor, and Gentle was humiliated in a crushing loss to Maggot's new form, now known as Omega Maggot. Meanwhile, Storm was being interrogated once again by Agent Fabii. But this wasn't a normal interrogation. The authorities were using an alien lie detector, a creature killed by fungal infection whose remains now functioned as a neural interface, measuring impulses and biological reactions with supernatural precision. According to the expert, the entity was less alive than a tub of Greek yogurt, yet still incredibly accurate at detecting lies. The first round of questions was straightforward. Storm denied that mutants posed a threat to national security, and the entity confirmed she was telling the truth. She also stated she wasn't a threat to the United States, again, confirmed as true. She admitted to having sheltered Charles Xavier in her home, knowing he was a wanted man, but denied helping him escape from Graymalkin prison. All her answers were validated as honest. Then came the toughest question. If she could go back in time, would she help Xavier again? Storm didn't hesitate. Yes, she would. And once again the machine confirmed. True. The interrogation took a darker turn. Storm was confronted about a young, unstable mutant responsible for the deaths of hundreds of civilians in Oklahoma and billions in damages. The tragedy had devastated public empathy for the mutant cause following the fall of Krakoa. They asked Storm if she knew where this mutant was. She replied enigmatically, even if she told them, no one would listen. The entity confirmed, true. Agents then raised suspicions about Storm's activities in Haiti, including the possibility that Dr. Voodoo had helped her erase mental traces. Storm responded that her actions outside the U.S. were none of the American government's business. In an accusatory tone, the interrogators claimed she had sheltered dangerous mutant fugitives, withheld information on cosmic emissions, and failed to report Omega-level activity. When asked if she saw herself as a threat, Storm denied it. But this time, her answer was flagged as false. Realizing the interrogation was going nowhere, some agents from the same organization teleported to Limbo to negotiate with forces from the underworld. Their speech was laced with nationalist pride, attempting to persuade the monsters of Limbo that the United States was the greatest nation on Earth. They recalled past battles, exalted heroic figures, and offered power in exchange for cooperation. But the leader of the monsters responded with scorn. He spoke of his ancient nature, of cosmic wars, of personal and irreparable losses. He rejected the notion of greatness offered by humans, exposing his ancestral superiority. Still, the offer stood. In exchange for cooperation, the monsters would learn to forge essence blades, the same kind used by Ilyana Rasputin and Madeline Pryor to rule Limbo. Right after sealing the pact with the monsters, the American agents returned from Limbo straight to Atlanta, where Storm Sanctuary was located. There they met with Agent Lundqvist, a representative of Agency 01E, which is fiercely anti-mutant. The agent's plan was already in motion. The monsters from Limbo had been unleashed to invade the sanctuary. With Storm occupied in the interrogation and Maggot as the only defender present, they believed the distraction would be enough to allow for the extraction of the hidden cosmic energy source located on site. But their calculations were wrong. Maggot, in his elevated form, obliterated the evil forces with almost comedic ease. The clash was brutal and entirely one-sided. The invaders were reduced to nothing before they even had a chance to react. The scene looked more like a massacre than a battle. And then, once the ground was secured, a new portal opened. From it emerged Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, who introduced herself with total composure. She was Storm's attorney and was there to shut the circus down. Inside the interrogation room, Storm finally stood tall in a posture of judgment. She accused Agent Fabii of being a legalistic manipulator, someone who masked abusive conduct behind a veil of legal formality. She said she had learned by watching an old friend who was a master of card tricks that even the best illusions collapse once the trick is exposed. She accused the government of planning to invade her home without legal justification, using the state's machinery as a cover for abuse of power. Storm had barely finished speaking when her captors were thrown across the room by an invisible force. At that moment, She-Hulk reaffirmed her authority. As Storm's legal counsel, she declared her client free to go. And if anyone wanted to challenge that, she was more than willing to take the case. But the most disturbing revelation was still to come. In a private conversation with Eden Facey, the mutant capable of bending space and teleporting, Storm revealed the truth. The mysterious energy source the agents had been searching for inside the sanctuary wasn't an artifact. It was something far worse. An entity had embedded itself within her, a cosmic parasite of immeasurable power that could take control of her body whenever it wanted. Storm confessed she was losing hours, sometimes entire days, with no memory of what she had done. Resisting caused physical pain, like her bones were cracking and her flesh being torn apart. But just as she had once taken the life of her abuser, she was now determined to kill the entity inhabiting her body. The full revelation unfolded when she presented the ultimate weapon in the universe, Abraxas, the cosmic embodiment of destruction. But there was an even more terrifying detail. The entity using Storm as its host wasn't just powerful, it was eternity itself, the living manifestation of the universe. Eternity had made Storm its new vessel and now planned to use Abraxas as a cosmic bomb to end its war against Oblivion before it even began. That was the secret hidden inside the sanctuary. Not a source of energy, but a weapon of universal extinction. In a future timeline, the scene was set for the clash between Eternity and Oblivion, while Eternal Storm declared herself whole at last, swollen with power, ready to defeat her brother. The truth was revealed. Oblivion had already been slain, not by Eternity, but by Hadad, an entity of the void who had destroyed the cosmic Leviathan. And so, the cycle of power was broken. A new sovereign was rising in the cosmos, a being greater than even Eternity and Oblivion. His name was Hadad, and his next target was our universe.